Hey y'all, it is your favorite nigga Rita, and welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and catch you found on that post notification so that you get notified every time there's a pretty post child in my vlog. These guys, this is another story. Speaking of stories, let's go ahead and get into the story time. So I guess this segment is called "This Tea is Piping Hot. Pass it to me." Okay, so this story time is about an old landlord of mine. So this is when I lived in Trote, and my landlord Jose at the time. This is the story's kind of revolving or surrounding around him. So at that time, I was living in Burbank and renting a room, and I remember when I went to visit it. My sisters worked corporate jobs, so during the day they weren't available to go tour this listing or whatever, right? So I went to go tour it, and when I got there, I remember when I pulled up, there was a person standing in the doorway, and then I was looking around and trying to figure exactly what house it is, and then like I saw him close the door, and I was like, okay, that's weird, and I realized, oh, that's the house, and I was like, okay, so I walk up. And then, I knocked on the door and I'm explaining this, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, I'm here doing a favor for the owner, this and that. And he gives me a tour. I record it or whatever, so I can send it to my sisters and see what they thought to see if we should proceed forward with it. We did. We proceeded forward with it. We signed everything. We do the deposit. Now, my sister actually had to help me with the deposit because I was short the deposit that time. I have my rent, but I was short the deposit because of all the money that I spent for my homegirl's Jesse's bachelorette and wedding. I told y'all before in a previous video how I was the one, even though I wasn't initially invited, when I was invited after complaining about it, my rent for the room we were renting was more expensive than everyone else's. It's like me and Raven took care of all the goodie bags. So we and her paid for that. Then we took care of like the stuff on the inside for everybody, personalized shot glasses, all this like cool stuff inside of there, right? And then we went out, even though we had to look at the house, we went out. I somehow got fronted for the bill for paying for table service and bottle service that was randomly ordered. So because of that, I explained to my sister how, I obviously didn't expect to spend that much during that. So she fronted me the money for that for me to pay her back later. And at that point, everything was good. It's just I just went over a budget a little bit, right? So that's besides the point. We, everything's good. We move in. Everything is cool, right? So the way that the house was set up is there was a house, like our house in the front, and then you go along the driveway and through the gate, there was their house. So he was a police officer who was currently out. I want to say on disability. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. On disability leave because something happened with his left leg. Like it was all, he had a brace on. It was like just like all strapped up all the way down, right? And I remember like when we first moved in, like my whole family was there, my mom, my dad, my sisters, and my sister's dog and my dog. I had a husky at the time. And we had, our backyard, but the way that the backyard was, there was a gate here. And if you opened up that gate, the only reason that gate was there is before landscaping to come in, to be able to, there was a lot they could come in and be able to do our backyard without having to go through the house. Well, for whatever reason, we had the dogs in the back, and he had opened up that side gate. He opened up the side gate that was connected to our gate. And then he also opened up the gate that led to the driveway. So my husky came out running for that side gate and then took off running down the street. And like, I wasn't nearby. So I'm like, what the heck? So I go outside and, he's trying to run, limping and everything with this brace to go get my dog. And I was inside the house. I'm coming out the house running full speed, okay, barefoot, trying to catch my dog. My dog's in the street, just like everything. And I'm just like already like, okay, because I'm annoyed because I'm like, if something happens to my dog, what's up? So I was like, but I tried to like play it cool and didn't even get frustrated. Well, he had did some really cool like renovations inside of their home because they lived on the property. So, one time I went to pay him, I give him the check. And then he asked if I wanted to like see like the inside. I was like, okay, yeah, cool. So I go and like I see, because they were really, really nice. Like when we first moved in, they gave us like a basket of like all these really cool goodies and all this other kind of stuff. So I go inside and I'm like, oh, this is really nice and really cool. But you know, he was married at the time. Well, I don't know if they're still married or I don't know. He was married. This before they had a child. He was married. And so I go inside and I'm thinking his wife is going to be in there and she's not. So I'm, you know, we toured the whole house and I'm realizing it's just me and him. And there's a point of like awkward silence. We're just standing there and I'm like, I need to figure out what to say because I'm not about to be in my landlord's home, just me and him, and his wife isn't here because I don't even want that to be like misconstrued any kind of way. Okay. So I just like make up something and like go. And then you know, everything's like cool, so that there were ever any issues, I usually would text her even though he was technically the landlord. And because of that, it was like, you know, then I started texting both, and then he'd be the one that was always responsive. So then I started, you know, sending messages to him if there was anything we need to communicate about. But I started messaging her first because I was coming in as a woman of like, I don't have any issues with you. I don't know if you took, because there were security cameras. So it's like, I don't want you to see like, oh, okay, she went back there and then came out and like automatically think something happened because nothing happened, you know? So, especially because if you go to that side gate, the side gate was behind the camera. So I don't want her to think, okay, she saw me go this way and then she's thinking maybe I'm going through the side gate. And, you know, I just didn't want it to be a thing. I really didn't. So everything was cool, whatever. And, you know, now fast forward some years, because we were there for a total of 3 years. Fast forward some years, you know, now the pandemic is going on or whatever. And I remember, you know, when everything first happened with the pandemic, it was tight for everybody because, you know, the whole world shut down and we're all trying to figure things out and blah, 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 blah. You know, people couldn't go into work and all this other kind of stuff, right? So I had used the money that I did have to relaunch my clothing brand because I was like, okay, I'm doing fitness stuff, but the fitness stuff is a little awkward because, you know, all the gyms are closed and I'm like, I'm doing stuff, you know, like online, but I was just trying to figure out different ways to create income. So I started my clothing brand. My clothing brand was doing, you know, really well in the sense of like bringing in income that I could, you know, flip to make more income and like be able to take care of myself and this and that. So I remember I had some extra inventory. I was behind. Well, we all were behind. Like, you know, we all were behind. So my parents did have. Hold on. So, you know, my parents ended up fronting me and my sister's rent, like all of our rent or whatever, right? And I had a conversation with his wife because she just had a baby and she was, you know, explaining like how she was really going through it. And, you know, she was like, had made a joke to the point like, you know, I'm going to go to Walmart and never come back. And I was just like, dang, I felt so bad because, you know, she was just like, you could just tell a lot of stuff was going on. So they ended up moving from Duarte to Utah, I believe. And I don't know if he's still an officer. I think he's still a police officer and then he was like transferred there or something. And I just felt so bad because like, you know, you could just tell like she was like sad and really going through it and she was uncomfortable with her body. So I was just like, okay, I want to send her like a care package in a way of like from woman to woman. I hope you feel better and I hope that, you know, like this can help you achieve your body goals and that you just, you know, feel good about yourself. So I sent her merch from my clothing line. I sent her a waist trimmer, the booty bands, and I'm not really sure what else. You know, I wrote a card and everything and sent it to her. And I don't know if she received it. I didn't get a message or anything back or anything. But you know, I was also still like that other situation was in the back of my head. So I was just like, I just hope that like, you know, again, she doesn't think anything is like going on. So then another person took over. I want to say the name is Danny. And, you know, he was cool, but I don't know. Then things got like weird. Then, and this is where things got even more weird. Cause it's like, okay, Danny was a person. Then there was this other person whose name started with an R who I honestly don't really know who he was, but he would come off and drop paperwork, and if there were issues like, okay, we needed like the gas, we had a gas stove, so there was issues with the stove, so I had to contact them to, fix the stove. And, then this person came over to, like, I don't know what he was doing, honestly, but he was all in the attic. And then when he left, there was like stuff moving around in the attic. I don't really know. Stuff started getting really